Hi, this is a tutorial on 7.3, um, just finding percents of numbers. This is a really important target, and it's a target that comes before these two. I think before you can do some estimating with rounding and things like that, complete 7.3a and 7.3b, you really need to be able to round some things off. So let's practice it here. First of all, round the number 161. This is a variable one here. You could round it to 150, 160. I think those are the two most common. So let's just go to 160. All right, so I think the most important column here is 10%. Can you find 10% and 50%? Well, 10% you just move the decimal. 10% is 16. 50% is going to be half of that. Half of that is not half of 16, half of 160. 50% is going to be 80. And you're pretty good at that. That's why I chose 160 versus 150. A little bit easier to break, 16 in half than 15. So how do we go from here? Well, what's 1%? Well, if 10% you move the decimal once, 1% you move it twice. So this is 1.6. That's 1%. And half of that, I know this is going to become crazy. It's like, how do I find half of 1.6? Well, it's 0.8. Or you can think about it this way. Think of that as $1.60. What would half of it be? 80 cents. Sweet, huh? Look at the relationship. 1%, 1.6, 10%, 16, 100%, 160. See how the decimal just moves? And look at the 50%. 50% is 80, and a half percent is 0.80. Yeah, there's some relationships there. Let's try this one, 298. Let's call it 300. Most important one, 10%. 10% of that's going to be 30. How about 50%? Well, half of 30 is 15, so half of 300 is 150. All right, so let's see 1%. Well, if this is 10% here, let's move it one more place, and now we've got 3 is 1%. Now, if you want to think about what is a half percent, you could think about that as $3. What's half of $3? Half of $3 is going to be $1.50. And again, you can see the relationship there. All right, let's do a big one. $456.98. I don't care. What do you want to call it? $500? $450? Let's go with $450. $450. 10%. Move the decimal. That's 45. What's 50% of it? Well, not 50% of 45, 50% of 450. Well, half of 400 is 200, right? And half of 50 is 25. So half of 450 would be 225. How about 1%? Well, divide by 10 again. Now we're down to 4.5. Again, think about it as $4.50. What's half of $4.50? That looks like this number. Remember the relationship? Sure, half percent. Half percent is going to be $2.25. All right, good luck as you work through these.